Hey everybody, Mark Edward Lewis here from CinemaSound.com. Today we're going to be doing another video in this series of comparing and contrasting Adobe Premiere Pro audio with the Davinci Resolve Fairlight page, specifically looking at Premiere's tube-modeled compressor, a very simple to use dynamics processor, and the dynamics processor in Davinci Resolve. Let's roll. All right, everybody, we're here in both Adobe Premiere Pro and Davinci Resolve, which you really shouldn't be running together at the same time, but that's how it goes. We've got a little piece here that we're going to play for you. I recorded on my iPhone. It's just stupid standard dialogue that I recorded with a lavalier. Here's what it sounds like.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone via Lightning on my iPhone, and it should sound quite a bit better than the regular.
Got a little noise to it, but it's generally kind of blah, blah, blah sounding. So let's take a look at just putting up the regular dynamics, which I can double click here. And we're going to not use any of these other bits that are also a nice addition to the dynamics plugin. But we just want to focus on the compression because we want to compare apples with apples. And we also want to make sure that the order of this is EQ Dynamics Effects. That's the way regular mixers do it. And we're so glad that the good folks at Blackmagic have instantiated that. And then in Adobe Premiere Pro, we're going to instantiate in the audio track mixer a tube model compressor. Now, one of the things we don't like about Premiere is that you have to double click on everything to make it come up. It should just come up on its own. But alas, here we are. So this is a very simple compressor, which really compressors shouldn't have a whole lot of bells and whistles. A tube-modeled compressor means that it's modeled after a very old but very beautifully warm, crunchy, something that your body and mind likes to hear, kind of compression, as opposed to the usual algorithmic harshness that we would hear. Now, this is going to be a very difficult comparison because the Fairlight algorithms are beautiful. I mean, they've been around for 30 plus years, and that's one of the great pluses of Davinci Resolve is that the algorithms in here are so seamless, so difficult to tell that something's happening. They've done a great job with the algorithms. But let's take a look at comparing these. So here we go. Let's just take a listen, see if we can get a setting that's smooth. It smooths things out.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone via Lightning on my iPhone.
Now I'm going to make this a little draconian just so you can hear it a little better. I know we're streaming, but I would never use a setting like this. But hopefully you can kind of get a better comparison with a stronger ratio.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone via Lightning on my iPhone, and it should sound quite a bit better than the regular microphone that we were using on the phone itself. Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right in.
Now, one of the great things about this Dynamics plugin is that it has the ability to do side chaining, which Adobe Premiere does not. It also has a hold feature, which we really don't use in post that often. Good for music, however. One of the downsides to this is that this only goes the attack down to 0.7, which is a huge bummer for us in post-production because we want to be able to have a zero attack capability. And then release those only go to 50 milliseconds, which is another huge problem for us in post. I know they're trying to keep things natural, but that's no way to limit us and handcuff us. But this sounds pretty good.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone via Lightning on my iPhone, and it should sound quite a bit better.
Maybe turn it off.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone via Lightning.
Which is pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, if I double click on any of these numbers, I cannot type anything in, which means I got to use the dumb knobs, which is another huge bummer. Let's go to Premiere. Let's see here. We've got the tube model compressor already up. And let's just see if we can copy settings. I got a -40 threshold. I can double click and just type -40. I got an output gain of 10. I think I got a ratio of 7. I have an attack and release of 50 and 84. Let's see what happens.
It plugs right into my phone via Lightning on my iPhone, and it should sound quite a bit better than the regular microphone that we were using on the phone itself.
Now you can immediately hear the gritty, beautiful, positive, overtones of the tube-modeled compressor. It just feels more smooth. It has a definite frequency shift to it.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone.
And compare this with Davinci.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone.
And again, Premiere.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone.
And Resolve Davinci.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone.
They're very, very subtle, aren't they? Very subtle indeed. But this is your only option in compression, single band compression in Fairlight. You don't get another one. You don't get something that's a little more neutral. You get this beautiful, you know, you can't deny that that sounds great, but there are huge limitations to this. If I wanted to make this punchier, I could run the attack down here, but I'm only going to get a 50 release out of that. But over here, I can get a release of 25 milliseconds. I can get an attack of 15 milliseconds, etc. Not to mention, I think this threshold only goes to 50. This threshold goes to 60. That's not that big of a deal. But the other stuff, that is a big deal. Wait, we were at 40. Here we go. Check this out.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone via Lightning on my iPhone.
It's pretty punchy. Here it is in Premiere.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone via Lightning on my.
I think on both of these we need to make this release just a little bit longer.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone.
And then we'll do this one a little bit longer as well. Well, that's all it can do.
And it should sound quite a bit better. Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone.
And with this higher compression, you can start really hearing that difference.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone.
And again, if you want to cut transients all together, you can by making a 0 attack.
Now here,
and this is getting really, really intense.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone.
Very rich sounding. We'll see if we can get the 0.7 here to work for us.
Now here I'm using a lavalier from Ceramonic that plugs right into my phone.
I mean, this sounds fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But this just sounds better because of that tube modeled compressor. And Resolve has no such plugin. You're stuck with this as your only dynamics. Whereas here in Premiere, we have tube model compressor, single band compressor as well, and several other dynamics capabilities that are available to us. And we can instantiate more than one, whereas here you only ever have one dynamics processor per channel, whereas over here I can add another and another and another and another. So there's a beautiful special sound that comes with that tube modeled compressor, very warm, very analog sounding, very, very nice. And you know, the dynamics processor in Resolve has that beautiful Fairlight algorithm, but again, the problem with that dynamics plugin and with the EQ plugin is that there's just nothing else you can do with it. It's just going to be there in the signal chain. You can't add another one, and it's really, really limiting, unfortunately. Hopefully they'll get this fixed. If this video has been valuable to you, please subscribe to us here at YouTube, where we have hundreds and hundreds of other videos available to help you get that $1 million immersive quality to your productions without making your budget any bigger. And definitely come visit us at cinemasound.com, where we have even more detailed articles and resources there to help you get the same. Until then, we'll see you in post.
Even if you're stuck.